What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can implement payments into your Voiceflow chatbot. So here's a demo. So I have the chatbot deployed to this local website that's on my computer, so I'll run it. Let me start a new chat. And yeah, so let's say I'm looking for, so the chatbot can recommend products. It checks what's in the stock inventory from the Airtable database, sends back items that meet the customer's requirements, and you can see them there. So some nice blue jeans. Okay, so let's say I want to buy the second jeans. Okay, it's 1500 Kenya shillings. So let's see, kindly provide your email address. There. Then you see a pop-up popping up. You can see my email there and the specific price of the item. So the payment integration is in test mode, but once we deploy the chatbot, it will switch it to live. So you see here, let's simulate a successful transfer. So pay 1500. So you can see there, and when I click OK, you can see it generates a payment reference number. So let's also simulate payment where it needs the bank authorization. So I'll run the bot again and I'll ask it. Let's say this time I'm looking. Okay, so let's see what it gets for us. Some nice shoes. So you can see them there. So let's say I want the first shoe, which is 2300 Kenya shillings. Purchase. Put in my email. So let's say my email is this. It pops up. So you see, you can either pay with card, you can either pay also with M-Pesa. So M-Pesa is really well known here in Kenya. This is mobile money transfer. So with the card, let's simulate with a bank authentication. So click the button to authenticate with your bank. So it will simulate authenticating with the bank. Then see that's done, and it returns the payment reference number with a successful payment. So you see, how can you be able to implement this now for your own Voiceflow chatbot? Here's how. So for the payment integration, we're using a payment provider called Paystack. So what you want to do is go paystack.com, then click create free account. So here you'll fill out your details like your country, all that. So it supports now Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa. Business name, your first name, last name, all those things. Then you create your account. But I already have my account, so I'll log in. So there you have it here. So on your side, once you've created your account, you'll have to have created your business. So you'll add a business here. But I think when you create the account, it's part of the flow of you creating the account. So once you're done, you'll arrive here at your dashboard. And as you can see, mine right now is in test mode. And this is revenues I've made, simulated revenues as I was playing around with it. So what you want to do is you want to go to settings. Then you want to go to API keys here. Then you want to scroll till the bottom where you'll see check out our API documentation. Okay. Then you want to see where you can accept payments. So the documentation on accepting payments, click on that. Accept payments. Okay. Then scroll down till you see the JavaScript code that you need to use. Okay. So you see here there's the HTML. If you're using a form, so for your website you can use this, but since as it's being implemented into the chatbot, we use the JavaScript. So come here, copy this JavaScript and save it somewhere. Okay, so for me I'll save it in VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So copy that. So I have my Visual Studio Code here. I'll paste it in there. Okay. Then in my Visual Studio here, I have my index.html. that I've just deployed the Voiceflow chatbot into. So this is default stuff that you can be able to find in the Voiceflow documentation. But just to show you, let me just close this terminal. So the title here, some stylings. Okay. Then you can see I'll provide this code in the description so that you can be able to copy and play around with it as well. Then the script, all that. Then we're importing some extensions that we'll use in the Voiceflow chatbot. So this is the extension that is critical, so the Paystack extension, and we're importing it from the JavaScript file that's over here, extensions.js. Okay, just bear with me, I'll explain everything. So then you have a function to have the chatbot in place. So you're seeing here all this. So all you need to change is just come here and paste in your actual project ID. So you get your project ID in your Voiceflow. So for that, I'll show you. So now you want to go to your Voiceflow account and log in. So if you don't have a Voiceflow account, just go to voiceflow.com and click create account. Then you'll come and log in. So I'll log in with my account. Okay, so you'll arrive at your dashboard here. So click the specific chatbot you want to implement payments into. If you don't have an agent, if you don't have a chatbot in place, just click new agent. Then you can create a new chatbot. But since I already have one in place, we'll work with that. So once you arrive here, you want to go to settings here. We want to get the project ID. So project ID is down here. So copy it. Then come here and paste it in. So I already have it pasted in, so we can just continue. So without this in place, to be able to run now the chatbot, you'll open the terminal. Then in the terminal, this is already running, so let me just kill it. What you want to do is you have your index.html there and the extensions.js in place. I'll show you what's in the extensions.js, so don't worry. So what you want to do is do npx serve. Okay, so now you see it's been deployed to localhost port 3000. So you want to copy that, then go to your Google Chrome or whatever browser you use, paste it in and click enter. Okay, so at the bottom right you'll have the chat bubble. I know you can't see it because of my face is there, but there's a blue chat bubble. When you click on it, the chatbot pops up. Okay, then you can start playing around with it. So with that in place, let me show you what's happening in the actual Voiceflow chatbot flow. So I'll go back to the content here, specific workflow. So here in the chatbot flow, once the users asked something like, I'm looking for some blue jeans, and there's an entire flow that's going through to check the database, the Airtable database, all that, to give back items that meet the user's requirements. So I won't go through that because that's not the point of the video. So once the carousels are returned, so here's a card step and some carousels of the products that have been returned, and you can see each carousel has an image. So let me click on, let's say, one carousel. It has the image, okay, then the name of the product and the price of the product and some buttons to visit the product or purchase. So when they click purchase, we want to save that specific amount of the purchase to a variable. Okay, so you're seeing here, after a purchase, we are setting, it goes to a set variable step where it sets the purchase amount variable. This is a variable I've already created in my Voiceflow. So go ahead and create a variable to save the specific amount. Then I set it to the specific price print, and you're seeing price print is here, which is the actual price of the item. Okay, same thing for the second product. Okay, so you're seeing it's setting the purchase amount to price print too if they click on purchasing the second product. Same thing for the other carousels. So I have like other carousels down here. So you see, if there are 3 products returned, if they click on the first, they want to purchase the first product, it will set purchase amount to price print. second product, it will set purchase amount to price print to, and so on and so forth. Then once it sets that into play, you're seeing we are forwarding the flow towards the block we have named as payment. Okay, so let me just delete this so that I can show you practically. So after the set variable has happened, we are forwarding the block. So actions, go to block, then the block we want to go to, I've named it as payment. Okay, so click on that. So now let's go to payment actually, so that you can see what's happening. So when they reach your payment, it asks them first to provide their email address. So kindly provide your email address. Then it captures that and saves it to a variable called purchase email. So I've gone ahead and created a variable called purchase email. Then we move on to the next step, which is the JavaScript. So we want the JavaScript first to stringify the customer email. Okay, so we want to stringify it and make it into a string, because the following step in the custom action, it will require it as a string. Okay, then in the custom action block, which is here, so the name of the custom action, we have named it as ext_pay, and you'll see this name is what will trigger the specific extension back in our code, and I'll show you how that's happening. Then in the action body, we are passing in a payload with the email as the specific purchase email. So this has to be a string, and that's why we were stringifying it. Then the amount, okay, so the amount that, let's say if it was 1500, if they clicked the first product and the price was 1500, this would be 1500. Okay, so this is the payload. Okay, then if you go back now, then once the custom action happens, the flow forwards fluently into another JavaScript block that takes the specific payment reference, which will be available in the last event .payload.reference number, ref number. Then it prints it out back to the user. Payment successful, here's your reference number. So that's the flow that's happening. But let me now make it make sense how this is working. So let's go back to the actual code so that I show you what's happening. So how we are rendering the payment pop-up to appear once the users clicked purchase is something called chat widget extensions. So, and how chat widget extensions happen in Voiceflow is you have your Voiceflow, your index.html here, and you have another file, a JavaScript that contains the actual extensions. So you'll import the specific extensions that you'll want to use in your chatbot. Then we are referencing it here in the Voiceflow function here. So in this function, you see we are passing in the extensions that we'll be using. Forget about this date extension. This was for experimentation, but this is the actual extension that we need. So what does this extension have? So if you go back to our extensions.js here, here's how an extension looks like. So you're exporting a specific function called Paystack extension. Okay, the extension takes in a name and a type. So the name doesn't really matter, give it whatever name you want. Then the type can either be response or effect. So if it's a response, means that you want to actually render something into the Voiceflow chatbot. Okay, but effect, so for example, an extension that renders a form, let's say a HTML form into the Voiceflow chatbot, that's rendering something into the chat window. Therefore, the extension type should be response. But if there's nothing really being rendered into the chatbot, so let's say you just want the chat widget extension to open a new tab or something, then here you'll have it as effect. Okay, but since we're rendering something into the chat window, we have it as response. Okay, so with that, then we'll take in the specific trace. So this is as I think I mentioned earlier, a trace is like whatever is being rendered into the chatbot. So if the chatbot says something like, we have the following items, that sentence is a trace of type text. If it renders some buttons, those buttons are a trace of type choice. If it renders the carousels, that's a trace of type carousel. But in this case, we are checking the trace from the custom action to see for the specific custom action name of x_pay. If the Voiceflow runtime gets this specific event and it has the trace.type as x_pay, then it means it's looking for this specific extension to do a payment. So it can either be in the trace.type or the trace.payload.name. So we're able to capture that and handle the payments. Okay, so now we're rendering something into here. So here I did a console log just to see what's being returned from the action, from the custom action. So you see here there's a trace.payload.email, which in the Voiceflow you can see it here in the action body. You're seeing here, so the trace.payload, which is this payload.email. Okay, and you're seeing the trace.type. You see the trace.type is the name of the custom action, x_pay. Okay, so now this code over here is what we got from the Paystack documentation. Okay, so if you remember, I had pasted it in here, so we don't really need this payment form or payment.add event listener. So we remove that, just this part of the handler. Okay, the one that's going to handle the payment. So I copied that, then pasted it here into Voiceflow, so you can see it there. Let me just minimize it, and also the actual handler to open the iframe. So the pop-up is actually an iframe that that provides an interface to handle the payments. So I also copied that and pasted it in here. That's it. Then now is actually just inputting the actual values. So for the key here, you want to go back to your Paystack and get your public key. So you replace with your public key. Let me show you how you do that. So let's go back to Paystack. So here in your developers, in the API keys tab, you'll see it here, live public key. So you'll copy that, okay, then come back here to Voiceflow and paste it in there. So I've already pasted it. Okay, then in the email here, initially it was this way, so let's see how it was. The email was this document.get element. Remove all that, then you want to have it as the email that's been sent back from the trace payload. Okay, so that's what we have done over here. So we're getting the trace.payload.email. Same thing for the amount, trace.payload.amount, but I'm adding 2 zeros because how it's handling it, I think it's in cents. So if the amount being passed from Voiceflow is, let's say, 2,000, over here it will be rendered as 20 shillings, which we don't want that. We want to add the 2 zeros. Okay, then the currency is Kenya shillings, so you have the symbol of your specific currency. For example, if it's Nigerian naira, you'll have NGN here, and so on and so forth. Then you have an on close function. So if the person closes the pop-up, it will alert. It will send an alert into the website saying Windows has been closed. Then we have a callback function when the payment was successful. So it will have a message of payment is complete with a specific reference number. So that one it gets from the response. So when the payment is successful, there's a response that's sent back from Paystack, and with that specific response, you can access the reference number through writing this code. So response.reference. Then it sends an alert of that specific message, and as you can remember in the demo, that's normally displayed. Then this is critical to tell Voiceflow that the payment was complete and successful. You can move on with the flow. So we do window.voiceflow.chat, trying to access the interact endpoint, okay, and saying that the event type is complete and the payload is this specific reference number. Okay, and if you can remember, back in Voiceflow, we're able to access the specific reference number to send back to the user. So let me just show you. So you can see here back in Voiceflow, there's this JavaScript step here that's able to get the payment reference from the last event. So the last event is the custom action dot payload dot ref number, which the ref number is this one here. Okay, and this variable payment reference you'll go ahead and create on your side. I've already created it on my Voiceflow, the standard way of creating variables in Voiceflow. Okay, then with that being said, this is the function that's handling the payment and the pop-up window. Then you actually open the pop-up. Okay, so handler, which is this handler over here, dot open the iframe. Okay, and just to mention also, here in the index.html, we've ensured that there's this script that's containing the actual Paystack JavaScript libraries that need to be present for the Paystack payment to work. So this you'll also find it in the code, so don't worry about that. Okay, so with that in place, this is how you're able to integrate the payments into the Voiceflow chatbot. So you see, it just needs this extension over here, okay, which is being passed into the Voiceflow chatbot in the index.html. Okay, so once we import it here, it's being passed into the actual Voiceflow chatbot over here. So in the assistants and the extensions are being explicitly defined, so we put it in there, and this is being handled from our Voiceflow through the custom action block. Okay, so it's quite easy. If you need something like this to be implemented in your business, you can be able to work with our team. There'll be a link in the description for you to book in a meeting with us, and also the resources that we used in this specific tutorial will be available in the GitHub repo, so I'll provide it. The link will be in the description. So anyways, till next time, stay survey. Peace.